CC. Ever thought about creating your own shooter game in a sandbox? If you have, then you're in the right place today. I'll guide you through simple steps on how to craft a gun, making your game more thrilling and exciting. You'll learn how to design the animation for a gun, integrate animation components, enable your gun to shoot and inflict damage on enemies, and so much more. These are the fundamentals of creating an FPS game, and you'll find them incredibly useful and fun. Whether you're a gaming enthusiast or someone looking to learn something new, come and try it out with me. First off, you're going to need a gun. I assume most of you are familiar with Vox Editor for creating some pretty cool weapons. Now, here's what you need to know. Every gun requires two animations. One is the idle one, a static animation, and the other is shoot one, which is the shooting animation. Also, let's talk about size. In my experience, it's usually better to make the gun a tad larger. For instance, the shotgun featured in this video is about 2 blocks in size, and the handle has a cross-sectional area of 2 by 3 pixels. Feel free to experiment with different sizes to create a weapon that suits your style. Next up, let's dive into Game Maker to accomplish the most basic step, picking up the gun. First, add your gun model into the scene and attach a pickable component to it. Then, let's set some parameters. Grab offset as for positioning the gun nicely at the bottom right corner of your screen. Set opacity on pick to 1 to make sure the gun doesn't turn transparent once picked up. Message on picked and message on dropped are for sending messages to other components, which we'll utilize later. If you plan to have multiple guns in the game, make sure these 2 messages are unique for each gun. Now, let's run a game and check it out. Feel free to fine-tune based on your own preferences. First things first, let's rename the asset with the pickable component by adding a _root suffix. Then turn off its visibility. With that, our pickup functionality is complete. Next, let's add another instance of the gun model to the game or copy the existing one. Initialize all settings and add an animation component. In the animation component, set the parameters according to your visuals. The names of the 2 animations should match those you set up in Vox Edit. If you're planning to include multiple weapons, make sure the shotgun.shoot message triggered to play the shooting animation is unique. Upon receiving the shotgun.shoot message, the gun will execute the shooting animation. We'll get to the attacking messages later. For now, let's tidy up the asset positioning and hierarchy. First, move both guns to the same location. Rename the asset with the animation component to shotgun_animation. Navigate to the bottom left menu and set shotgun_animation as a child node of shotgun_root. Renaming like this is useful. If you have numerous assets in the game, you can easily search for what you need using the common prefix, and use the suffix for differentiation. Next, we need a new asset, a cube with dimensions of 32 pixels in width and length, and 512 pixels in height. Its role is to translate the player's attacks into both the weapon's shooting animation and damage. We'll use a health component to relay this damage. When the player attacks this cube and it dies, it will send a specific message to the gun asset, thus facilitating the message flow. Firstly, let's make the cube invisible and remove its collision. Rename it to shotgun_health pillar, and add a health component, setting its parameters according to the visuals. To have the health pillar respawn at the respawn tag location after it dies, we need to place a logic component at its anchor point, right at the bottom of the pillar. This logic component should have a tag that matches the name of the tag in the health component. Let's rename this logic component to shotgun_health tag. Run the game, and you'll see that when the player attacks the health pillar, the gun asset will also trigger its shooting animation. The reason we use such a tall cube for the health pillar is to keep certain effects out of the player's sight when it takes damage. These effects include the damage numbers shown at the top, the hurt effects generated at the center, and the respawn effects. Finally, set all these new components as child nodes under shotgun_root. This way, when the player picks up the weapon, all parts will move along with the player. By now, you can pick up the gun, move around, and even fire away. To prevent players from triggering the gun animation without actually picking up the gun, we need to set conditions for the attack animation. We want to ensure that players can only initiate the attack after picking up the gun, otherwise, the attack animation won't activate. First, let's modify the health component of the shotgun_health pillar asset. Instead of sending messages directly, it will first send them to a new asset that will decide whether or not to forward the message. Next up, create a new logic component, rename it to shotgun_broadcaster, and add a tag called shotgun.broadcaster. After that, add both a message broadcaster behavior and a toggle component. Follow the visuals to set up the corresponding parameters. Lastly, keep this newly created component as a child node under shotgun_root. Next on our list is preparing the bullet asset. We'll be using two animations to craft this asset, idle 01 and shoot 01. Idle 01 serves as the bullet's default state, while shoot 01 corresponds to the bullet's firing state. Here's a pro tip: to make the bullet invisible at the start and end of the animation, you can move them off-screen. Specifically, in all frames of idle 01 and the first and last frames of shoot 01, set the bullet's y-axis coordinate to a -5120. This ensures that the bullet appears only during the action sequence. In GameMaker, let's begin by adding the bullet asset we previously created and position it accordingly. Now, time to add an animation component to our bullet. The settings are quite similar to those we used for the gun asset, but there are two important distinctions. First, you might want to crank up the animation speed for the bullet. This makes sure that your bullet is launched at a faster rate. Secondly, make sure to check the interruptible option. This ensures that the animation doesn't last longer than the gun's animation, preventing any inconsistencies. Don't forget to rename the bullet asset to shotgun_bullet and set it as a child node of shotgun_root. Finally, run your game to check the effects. Feel free to adjust the position, shooting speed, and other details until you get it just right. To enable our gun to deal damage to specific targets, we'll need to set up a component that transmits damage to our enemies, reducing their health. Start by adding a logic asset to your scene and attach a message broadcaster component to it. Set it up as shown in the tutorial. It's worth noting that GameMaker currently does not support a true bullet damage system. Instead, any target within the range of this broadcaster will receive damage. It's a workaround for simulating a shooting effect until a dedicated shooting component is available in future versions. Once you've configured the settings, make sure to rename this component to shotgun_damage_root. Since we're creating a shotgun, try to place multiple copies along the trajectory of the weapon shot, forming a fan-shaped area of effect. Then, set these new damage components as child nodes of shotgun_root. With that, your gun is now fully operational, damage-wise. Let's add an NPC to the game to test out its effectiveness. Since our damage system is configured to send messages to specific tags, make sure to add an enemy tag to the target NPC, so it can receive damage. At the end of the tutorial, let's make the weapon's crosshair. First, create two logic parts. Add a replace component to the first logic part. And set it up as shown in the picture. Then rename to shotgun_crosshair_close. Then, click on the second logic component, also add the replace component, and add an indicator component, and set it as shown. It should be noted that the display name of the indicator component is the content of the crosshair. I will leave it at the bottom of the video for everyone to copy. Then we rename the part to shotgun_crosshair_open. Then we select the first logic, copy the name shotgun_crosshair_close, click Add Preset, create a new preset, and paste the name. In the same way, we select the second logic, copy the name to add a preset, and paste the name. We use the replace component to implement the switching of the crosshair. So what we still need to do is, first, we need to put the crosshair close preset into the replace component of crosshair open. Then, we need to put the crosshair open preset into the crosshair close replace component. This way, they will show or hide the crosshair when they receive a message from the pickable component. Next, we need to save these two logics as presets again and update the previous settings. We still copy the name and click on the preset. Remember, here we need to search for a previously saved preset with the same name, click on it and overwrite it. We save another logic in the same manner. Then, we're going to place the shotgun_crosshair_close component under the weapon. Since we previously moved the x-coordinate of the pickable component by 0.5 to the right, in order to center the crosshair, we need to move its x-coordinate by 0.5 to the left. Next, we want to adjust the y-coordinate of the crosshair so that it is offset 1.7 downwards relative to shotgun_root. This value is based on the actual situation, and you can experiment it yourself. Bring out a satisfactory result. Also, remember to drag the crosshair into shotgun_root as its child node. Run the game to see the effect. Here I offset the bullets towards the crosshair by 2 degrees to make them look more consistent. This concludes this tutorial. If you understand how it works, you can also try to add particle effects, inspection animation, magazine quantity, reload animation, etc. The implementation of these functions is currently relatively complicated. We look forward to GameMaker 0.9. Let's bring more convenient features. If you have any questions, please contact me on Twitter, I'm CC. Thank you all for watching.